Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. And today we're going to be talking about quite a controversial topic, a topic that has been discussed across social media for the last couple of days. A topic that I think needs addressing, and an issue that I would like to bring up and discuss and see what the facts are behind this particular um, title that I've gone with. There was an article that was released today on cricketfanaticsmag.com about BAVUMA that I'm going to read to you guys on today's show, just to give you guys a perspective from a different view. If you may be sitting on the fence, or maybe you're in one or either of the camps, pro or against. So the question I've asked is: BAVUMA being has he been treated as a scapegoat after the Netherlands defeat? And we're going to look at some evidence regarding that, and we're going to look at an opinion regarding that. We're going to look at some of the comments on the article because it really took off today. And then I'm going to show you some stats as well to give you guys a different perspective. Then we're going to go into Keshav Maharaj's presser and react to that as well and what he had to say ahead of the England game. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. Please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share, please, on your way in. If you want to support us and want to join this community and show your loyalty to it, then please subscribe to the magazine. It will give you some amazing insight into the cricketing world, insight that you won't necessarily get on a regular basis. Exclusives from coaches, fans, and coaches. I mean, players as well. They give you some amazing insight into there. It's content that you won't be getting anywhere else, nowhere on the internet or here on this channel. So it's very exclusive into content that you can only get in our magazine. So go ahead and subscribe, and it's free. Every issue, 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Then, if you want to show your support further for Cricket Fanatics Magazine and you want to really get involved with us and what we are doing here, and want to see us continue doing what we are doing, then become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And then go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. And let's get straight into this topic that I think is going to cause quite a good conversation in the live chat. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today I'm going to be discussing a topic or question that was raised. Is BAVUMA being held or being called a scapegoat currently in South African cricket? And there was an article, and this is the reason I went with this question is because I saw the reaction that one of the opinion pieces on Cricket Fanatics Magazine, the reaction that it got on social media today. It was quite a hectic response, quite a decent response. Thank you for everybody that actually took the time to read it. And it was by Mark, one of the writers that contributes regularly to Cricket Fanatics Magazine's print, to the magazine, to the digital magazine, as well as on the website as well. He's a regular contributor, and he wrote a piece today that I want to just take you guys through. I think it's worthwhile to actually go through it and read it out to you guys and show you what was said, because I think it was a very well written article, well thought out as well. And I think that I wanted to share this with you guys if you haven't been to the website before. South Africans are highly temperamental supporters, which is the product of passion and expectation. There's been little for South Africans to hold on to in the last 15 years or so, especially in light of the country's political downfalls, corruption, lack of service delivery, and crime. Citizens in the country have been betrayed and disappointed by the powers that be in more ways than a few. So when it comes to sport, and especially sports where they're supposed to excel, they bring out the inner bestial blame game. The Springboks have set a high standard with regards to sporting prowess, especially after they put themselves in a good position to defend their Rugby World Cup crown. Cricket has been a little more iffy and tumultuous. There is this high level of expectation, but the Proteas, more specifically, have been fickle bunch over the last several years. There have been off-field administration issues that have time and time again interrupted the Proteas camp and their performances over the last few seasons. Regardless, they too had to set high standards and provided much hope in the ongoing Cricket World Cup in India after racking up big wins against Sri Lanka and Australia. Then came their demise against the unfancied Netherlands, who are only an associate member of the ICC. The Proteas were upset significantly against the Dutch, losing by a comfortable 38 runs after being bowled out for a meager 207. What makes the loss more disappointing is that this was the second time the Proteas was upset by the Netherlands in an ICC event in as many years. Last season, it was essentially the Netherlands who knocked SA out of the T20 World Cup in Australia when they beat them by 13 runs. And even though it was collectively an all round poor performance from SA this time around, it was skipper Temba Vavuma who copped virtually all the blame for the loss. Supporters far and wide in SA on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or on any other forum have made BAVUMA the scapegoat, mostly irrationally arguing that he is a political selection both as a player and a leader. There is no sensible reason to debate BAVUMA's selection when there were so many factors that contributed towards the Proteas' awful loss to the Netherlands. In fact, the 30-year-old boasts the second highest average in the world as an opening batsman in ODIs, averaging 65.92 as from after the Dutch loss. He is narrowly behind the highest, India's Shabnam Gill, who averages 67.46 as an opener. Not only that, but Bavuma's all-time average is a stellar 50.9. Stats don't lie, and they're definitely not subjective. He has performed, especially in ODIs, and he was warranted and proved his selection, both as a player and a captain. It is completely illogical to argue against his inclusion in the team, unless there is a shallow bias or discriminatory motive against him, which holds absolutely no water in any form of justification. Politicians and dishonest administrators within South Africa or Cricket South Africa and Bavuma are not cut from the same cloth. Bavuma is a player who has proved his worth, and his numbers justify that. Regarding the loss to the Netherlands, why weren't our bowlers to blame? Lungingidi, Kagiso Rabada, and Jero Kutsia were terrible with the ball, and they failed to assess the conditions sufficiently. SA had the Dutch on the ropes when they were 440 for 7 in the 34th over. Netherlands then smashed 105 runs off the last 9 overs in form of Scott Edwards 78 not out, and tail enders Rula van der Merwe and Adrian Dutt. That's correct. Even their number 10 and 11 batsmen were battering SA seamers around the park in the latter stages of the innings. Bowling short and slower deliveries on a shorter boundary will always be punished. Those aforementioned 3 South African pacers had an economy rate of more than 6, but Kutsia was the worst among them, 7.13. Kutsia had only just come into the side in place of a plucky spinner Tabrei Shamsi, who was to blame for that. SA's death bowling was extremely poor on the day. Over and above that, who is to blame for the Proteas bowlers bowling a total of 32 extras throughout the innings? What about the dropped catches and several instances of misfielding by the South Africans? Bavuma surely isn't to blame for that either. Then, with regards to the batting, Bavuma and Quinton de Kock had set a decent foundation, which comprised a 36-run opening stand. De Kock went out first for 20. The rest of the top 6 collapse is by no means Bavuma's fault. The skipper went out for 16 from a superb in-spin from van der Merwe. What had let the team down more was how the rest of the top order wasn't able to consolidate after those two quick wickets. The on-form Aiden Markram got bowled for one, and the ever-consistent Rassie van der Dussen played a daft sweep shot to the court at short fine leg for only four. Hanne Klaasen and David Miller tried to grit it out, but they never looked in control. They lacked confidence at the crease and scored at a snail's pace. Their efforts were in vain as Klaasen 28 hit a low trajectory to be caught on the boundary, and Miller cracked under pressure to get bowled for 43. All-rounder Marco Janssen looked like he'd never picked up a bat before, getting picked up off for 9. It's a bit harsh, but understandable. Keshav Maharaj's efforts with the bat were probably the most admirable, but that was after the game was already lost. Who was to blame for all the shortcomings? BAVUMA might possibly be to blame for choosing to bowl first at the coin toss or maybe poor field management, but that's not the reason why SA lost. They lost because they had no killer instinct with a bat, ball, and from all the players concerned. It was a game where various players needed to knuckle down and show some character when the going got tough. That's what good teams do. The Proteas, as a collective, weren't good at all against the Netherlands. Their body language, desire to win, energy, and overall attitude lacked the sharp edge that is needed to win games. This was very surprising considering their first two impressive wins. The team was supposed to be riding the wave of success, but instead they looked downtrodden and hopeless on the day. And only Bavuma seems to take much of the blame for it. The team as a whole needs to deep introspection ahead of the rest of the World Cup, and they've certainly made their lives harder for themselves by losing like that to the lowest ranked team in the tournament. Fortunately, there's a lot of time and opportunity to right those wrongs. But most of all, many supporters can't always blame Bavuma when the Proteas experience trials and toils. That is a destructive approach to take when looking to make amends for disastrous showing, especially because it simply doesn't make sense to do so. So that was the piece. Um, and I thought it was very well written. Um, and I think it was very well thought out. And I think there was a lot of facts made in that. And to show you guys that opinion didn't come from me. That opinion came from someone. I had no influence on this. I got a message this morning to say, Khalid, I'm sending you an opinion piece later on today. Please post it when you can. And that is what came out. And I haven't had a conversation with this writer. This was his view on it. He generally seems to be very unbiased when he talks through things. Um, So yeah, I think it was a good piece that was written by Mark on the site. I've given my opinion on this on the show as well to give some retrospective. It's basically the same points. We made it basically exactly the same points almost when it regards to the understanding. That defeat wasn't down to one or two people. There were some. That was a collective team, poor performance by the team, which I think took place. But guys, I want to show you the reaction to this piece. I think that is actually something that is quite telling. Um, there were 113 comments on this piece, and I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to bring it up on the Facebook comments. I'm going to try to bring up. A lot of them are replies, comments. That's why, as well, the comments seem so high. But 113 comments on an opinion piece like this, I think, is pretty decent. In my opinion. So let's have a look at what some people had to say. I think I'm not going to show all of them, but I'm going to show some fans and what they think. Alistair says, "I think Bavuma is inspirational. He struggled to establish himself initially, but is an extremely determined person and has grown into one of the most important batters and the best person to assume captaincy. Go Timber, you keep going. You have earned the right to be followed." Lucas said they should bat first and score 290. Raul says he's already occupied and stopping another place. He knows that very well. Once he will take back his name from captaincy and give other game as a captain, then new captains will not include him and will bring new talented players into the squad. He is good as only a test batsman. That's what Raul says. Then this guy says, who writes this crap? Muhsin, sorry, says Moise. What am I saying? Muhsin says, let's be genuine. It was just a poor decision at the toss and awful batting. Bavuma is not the only one to blame here. Quinton de Kock just gave up to building pressure, loss of temperament. Bavuma, where's the footwork? Rasi, why would you play a shot like that unnecessary? Klaasen, do you know what the field placement is before you're playing? Now, Lawrence says the bowlers lost the plot, full stop. They were poor. Then when put under pressure, and that has nothing to do with the captaincy. I do ever feel that he should exercise a bit of authority on the field. The whole leadership group disappointed. Not once did I see them get together and discuss different options, etc. Jelicosi has been ultra pro and expensive in every match. Gustav says, fully agree. It's a team sport. It's about World Cup. This is not ordinary series, says Mo. You can't feel that hard. You have been forced from CSA to support Pavuna for politics, and I didn't even write the piece. So you can see the agenda again already against me. 32 extras that my concern bowling is so my concern is bowling so poor. He only performs in home ground. Okay, so Raj, we know your opinion in the live chat at the moment. Temba is an average 50 over the last few months. We lose one game. That's cricket. Upsets happen in every World Cup. England and Afghanistan, the perfect example. If anything, we need to question having only 6 batters and okay number 7. Jansen is a great player, but still green. But unfortunately, SA don't boast great batting or bowling or all-rounders like we used to from 7 to 9, like we used to. Very hard to replace guys like Polly, Kemp, Boyer, and Klusner. Boyer. His selection is not the issue. His captaincy, says Jean Rejoubert. 2 historic defeats to the Netherlands in 2 tournaments. Pathetic, he says. And people obviously responded, I don't think you know anything about captaincy. Neither does Bavuma. He's a good batter as any one of others, but sharp fielder, but a craps captain. Don't always jump to the racist bandwagon when there are critical moments about him. Same WhatsApp group as Jean Rejoubert. So when he won against top teams, do you blame his captaincy or are you just spewing bow? Last time I looked, he didn't bowl a single wide. John, what are you saying is this: the Netherlands did not beat us because they played better tactical game than us. They won because one solitary person that in both games mentioned scored more than the really good batsman in our squad was selected as captain, and for this reason only we lost. So those are some of the comments, the replies there. So Bavuma, did your team bowl 30? So why most of Bavuma did your team bowl 32 extras? Because the bowlers executed the plans wrong. Bavuma doesn't bowl the ball for them. Now tell us who should take responsibility for poor decisions making when it comes to the toss, field replacements, rotation of bowlers, the physiotherapist or the dietitian. Shouldn't the captain at least lead by example, just asking for a friend? He is a captain, same as all captains before him that took their criticism. His form is way below par for a captain at the biggest stage, and his form is bad. And we hope, but it's only been 3 games so far. We're hoping that he's going to come good in the last games. There are more games to play than the games that we played. I agree, it's always moaning about the captain when things don't go well, but never praise when things go good, and that's also true. He doesn't command authority like other captains. What's worrying is that it doesn't know they seldom win when batting second. That was something that I criticized him for. We play better when we bat first. Selected did some seemingly irreversible damage to Temba's reputation when they refused to drop him throughout our failed T20 World Cup campaign, where he clearly didn't belong in the team. Only way for him to sign as a doubter should be to lead us to a World Cup trophy. That's quite harsh, though. So those are some of the comments that were being said, and then this idiot, every single flippin' day, I post a post. He writes Timba Dak Bavuma, and he posts this picture. Like every single post, he's the most annoying person on Facebook, and yeah, he hasn't done anything really to go against Facebook guidelines. So I don't think it's fair for me to like do anything about it. But he's so annoying. Every single post that I post, he says Sir Dak Bavuma, and he posts that picture. But to the people that think that he's not a good opener, Uh, this is his record. Temba Bavuma, 14 innings, 841 runs, an average of 70, a strike rate of 100, 250s and 400s. Subnam Gill in 32 matches, 67.5, 103. This was before the Netherlands game. After the Netherlands game, um, is obviously shot up. And here is David Malan from England, 13 matches, 59, 104, so, and people rant and rave about David Malan, to be fair. So that is the stats. Now, yes, does he have to perform in the World Cup? 100%. So why can't we criticize him completely afterwards? Um, so that's something that I want to look at. I want to understand that, because we as a fan base, we play a massive role in giving these players belief in themselves, and we play a massive role in them wanting to play for a fan base that supports them. The Bokke always speak about it. They always speak about how they want to play, how the fans keep them riled up, and they're playing for the people at home and they're playing for the fans at home. But when a fan base is so negative all the time, I mean, how can you motivate yourself to play for a fan base like that? So try to be the best fans we can be and support players, um, as best as we can. Criticize, it's fine, but don't dehumanize. I've always said that on this channel. You can criticize players all you want and say that players aren't in form and they are not doing well, but to dehumanize is the thing. Um, so it's something that Bavuma's average is obviously high as well, because he hasn't really played many. Um, he hasn't really played many ODIs as so far. 32, I think, in total or something like that. And but his average is still 50.9 in 32 games. But in only 14 games as an opener, he's done pretty well and he's coming off good form. So there's always going to be a dip in any cricketer's life. There's going to be matches played and then a dip. It's good performances in the trot and then a dip. And I think Bavuma's currently on that dip. His average, his average speaks for itself when it comes to us having to believe that he's going to take an up again. An average like that should prove to us that he's currently in a dip, and then and then he's going to go on an up, and that's the only thing we can hope for. So let's try and rally behind him and be positive and support him as much as we can, because I think that's the only way we can get a good performance out of him. It's like we want to create this negative row, make it as horrible as possible and as difficult as possible for the player to prove you wrong. Like, as a fan, like, that's what certain fans do. I'm not saying all fans, I'm saying certain fans will do that. They'll be so negative and so degrading, making the circumstances as difficult as possible for a player to come through, rather than trying to make the circumstances as easy for players to come through. And it's not just Bavuma. There's other players in this team that also need the support. We need to rally behind Klaassen, who's going through a dip of form, a bad dip of form. We need to rally behind Gerald Coetzee, who's been quite expensive in this tournament. We need to support our players when they are down and try to give them the best circumstances to perform, to be the best that they can be for us. That's ultimately what I would like to see. Let me see what some of you guys have to say in the live chat. I'm just going to read some of it before we get into the Maharaj presser. Lawrence says Temba is crap. How can he bowl 22 wides and concede 32 extras all on his own, Khalid? The guy dropped 2 catches also. He also told Rassi to play reverse sweep at the worst possible time. Poor man. What's happening? Tim Timber might be in bad form at the moment, but his average, he's been in good. I mean, he was in good form before. Janneman's average went like this, and then it dipped. He's in the worst form of his life at the moment, domestically, and he was internationally as well. I mean, domestically and internationally, he's been in very terrible form. So I think they noticed that, and they could also notice that he had some technical issues against spin. To take him to a World Cup to India would have been very risky, I think, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I think Dinara's an excellent batter, and he needs to have two good domestic seasons. His domestic season last year wasn't very good, and he didn't really continue with that consistency for South Africa either when he got opportunities. If BAVUMA plays like how he played against England in January, I will be the first person to praise him. Till then, being a Proteas fan, I will be frustrated. This is not the first time that we have chasing. Many times we lost while chasing, but still no improvement. What coach is doing, not understand. Because you can't change something so fundamentally wrong in a blink of an eye. That takes time. Lawrence Bailey, Rassi plays reverse sweep very well, and he scored most of his runs against spin with reverse sweep. And against Sri Lanka, he scored a lot of runs with reverse sweep. But sometimes it won't work. It won't work if there's a fielder there. So to choose, so my thing is like sometimes it seems like the batters don't see the fielders there. They like the fielder gets placed there to trap them, and then they fall directly into the trap. It's crazy. We tend not to keep things fresh in World Cups. We love playing the same players. Though out throughout. Then we cry saying they burnt out the players. While we know that, so Rob and Co needs to address that now. Janneman had a terrible domestic and international season last year. That's why he got dropped. Yeah, that's what I said. What Maharaj done with his batting, playing unuseful innings. I don't see people talking about players' energy and resting players to keep things fresh. That's, in my opinion, very important. People have the silly idea that cricket is not taxing on the body. It would have been the correct decision to, in hindsight now, it's easy for me to say that it would have been a good decision, I think, to maybe to rest Lungi or one of the bowlers, and perhaps maybe even corner the cock and play Riza Hendricks. It could have been a good decision to do that against the Netherlands. Because you can almost predict. Like sometimes you have to take a risk. 200s in a row. Very seldom he's going to be 300s in a row. So that could have been an option over there because he's keeping as well. And maybe Lungi could have been left out for Lazard for some energy against the Dutch. In hindsight, that seems like would have been a good decision. Now against England, what do we do is the question. Do we risk it? Last match reminded me about the ODI we lost to Ireland in 2021, chasing 280 plus. Same old problem chasing. It's something about them getting it sometimes, because there's been games where we've chased and we've done well and we've chased it down. So I think it's when we get into a certain situation, we almost get startled. Oh, that we didn't expect something. Okay, I've read that out already. You read. Real G says, with regards to BAVUMA, he was not supposed to be automatic selection. He was supposed to compete against Malan and Hendricks for that opening spot. He has good ODI numbers from a small sample, says Real G. We are negative because of their previous World Cup performances. Yeah, but I mean, you can't blame this ODI team for last ODI team's performances and previous World Cups. Like, I think that's the one thing that I think is a bit unfair about this choker tag, because previous teams that are and players that aren't even playing choked, and then the next generation gets labeled with the same tag and gets heaped on this pressure gets heaped onto them, almost like they played in every single World Cup since we started playing World Cups, which I think is a bit unfair. I think it is wrong to criticize Temba on the basis of the loss. He has done well this year. If SA does not make semis, then he should be blamed because he is the captain after all. Says Dex, CSI losing interest from fans. Why? Because our cricket isn't good at the moment. We haven't won any World Cups, etc. And South Africans in general, like Mark said in his piece, tend to like to support winners and not when the team is down. Khalid, when you get the free time, you should have a talk with coaches and players to tell them their mistakes. If not, then what the benefits of the show? We only come to the show and discuss what the benefit. The point of the show is to allow you guys to have a voice, because where would you guys be put on a show that people are watching and cricketers are watching, and your opinions to be seen? Your opinions wouldn't be seen otherwise. That's the point of the show. We're supposed to come together as a fan base and build a community where our voices can be heard. And I do loads of interviews with players and coaches, etc., asking them the hard questions and having those discussions with them on the shows. So if you supported us from the beginning, you'd know that. Holly, let's not kid ourselves. Most of the Temba hate is racially charged. Remember how Khaleesi was getting it before we won the World Cup for the books? Same. Bro. And that's where I think is it's the most hypocritical story that I can think of in South Africa. I remember how Khaleesi got hate before the World Cup. How the whole Booker team was getting slated before that World Cup. And then they won. And then all of a sudden, everybody was like, "Yeah, we told you so. We knew it. South Africa was going to win the World Cup." Blah, 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 blah. Especially after that first defeat to New Zealand. I remember the hatred, the comments, the racism that was happening. And then all of a sudden, it's almost unfair that those people get to celebrate the World Cup with us that believed. It's almost like, ugh. Yanaman was dropped even before. Why some players they give more time to find form and for others not? He averages more than some other players if we see. Yes, that's his overall average, but in the last year, he was dropped because he wasn't um he wasn't performing domestically, guys. You must go look at him over the last 2 years. There's been a serious problem in lack of confidence in T20s and ODIs for Yanaman Malan. Khalid, Wakeri training session where? Please upload. We didn't get it, so I couldn't upload it. We didn't get. I'm not in Wakeri, so I'm not standing there with a camera taking the video footage. So you can't ask me that question. When I get it, I upload it. What do you think? What do you think I'm doing? Twiddling my thumbs. I'm not saying Yanaman should have been selected for World Cup. He shouldn't have been dropped while he was playing in ODIs. There's no sense in dropping some domestic form if he performs in ODIs. But he wasn't performing in ODIs when he wasn't, and then he didn't perform in domestic cricket. As a CSI double standards, they can find excuse to justify their awkward decisions. Not always the case, guys. Now people want to talk about Temba's numbers because of small sample size of games. When Rassie was averaging 1735 games, he got included. Double standards. 100%. There's always double standards in this game. Van der Dussen also performed in World Cups too long with bilateral, unlike BAVUMA. Temba could have put a bit more pressure. So then what's the reason for keeping Quinton de Kock in the team then? If what you're saying is true, then Quinton should have never been picked in this World Cup then. Is that not true then? Then David Miller should never be picked in this World Cup then. If what you're saying is true and bilateral series mean nothing, because ODI World Cup happens every 4 years. So what must they do? So are you going to pick to play teams on who you fancy? So the rest of the year they can be average, but they can be okay and score here and there, and then only score in World Cups. So how can you measure whether someone's going to do well in a World Cup? You have no way of measuring that. There is no way in measuring that. If it was measurable, then everybody would win the World Cup. So I think that is a baseless comment or opinion, to be honest. Everybody has a right to their opinions, but I think that one isn't necessarily fair, because the only sample size you have is the ODIs, that the bilateral series, etc., leading into the World Cup. And he was getting criticized for being selected in the bilaterals, and then he performed in the bilaterals, and then it's like, oh no, but it's not the World Cup, so he never can win. Because on that particular comment there, then Aiden should never been picked, because Aiden didn't perform in the 2019 World Cup. Neither did neither did or neither did David Miller didn't do very well in the 2019 World Cup, if I recall correctly. Then because that's the only World Cup you can really talk about. It was one of our worst World Cup campaigns that we've ever had. It was one of them. Actually, I think it was one of our World Cup campaigns ever. We were poor in that World Cup. We lost the first 3 games. So yeah, I don't think that's fair on BAVUMA. That he must be that has been based on that. If your argument is Temba should step up more in ICC events and before an ISA, then fair enough. You enough. Isha, then fair enough. Those are the good grounds. But to blame him for loss is crazy. Let's apply context. From him to score in ODIs in power play, there was intent with him against Australia, and that's why he lost his wicket. The only issue I have with Temba that he chose to bowl first against both times after winning the toss against the Dutch. The management should be blamed too. It gave the Dutch a chance in both games. And I agree with you there, bro. I think that's something that is the one area I criticized him about, actually, is the choice, the decision to pick that. In my humble opinion, Maharaj bats better than Janssen. But but yes, technically speaking, yes, but Maharaj can't do the job that Janssen can do. Janssen can literally come in and win you a game and smack a quick 40 or 20 balls, whatever the case may be. That finisher type of role is something that Janssen can do, which I like a lot. Ben Stokes will also be playing the match. He is a player that helped England in tough times, and that catch in 2019 World Cup against South Africa was superb. Quentin de Kock performed at least in T20 World Cups. I know his performance not good in ODI World Cup before, but BAVUMA performed poorly in T20 World Cup as well as in this current ODI World Cup. You can't compare the two formats then, Suraj. Temba should have never been picked in the T20 World Cup team. That we can admit. David Miller was played quite decent in 2015 World Cup at number 6. It's not easy position to bat. Now the excuses come out. Opening the batting against the swing bowlers that you face in this modern day world is also not easy to do. If we go historic World Cup from Kundakok, Markram, Rabada, and Gidi should never have been selected for Cricket World Cup 23. Come on, guys, isn't prep school. We don't need all the negativity in the middle of a World Cup. It's just losing to the Dutch is just disgusting. If you look at our squad, it's actually good and can beat anyone, including India. So let's rally up some positivity. Let's put all the negative behind us. That's why I did the show. Get it all out here, and let's move on. We've got let's go into some positive things. Let's have a listen to what Keshav Maharaj had to say in his press conference. Let's put it all behind us, and let's support the guys as best as we can heading into the next game. That's all we can do as fans, and that's all we can do right now. And I'm not saying everybody is mad at BAVUMA, but if you go online and you look at the comments and the tweets and you type BAVUMA in on Twitter, you will see. You'll be shocked at what you see. But let's listen to Kesh.
And first of all, obviously you guys lost against Netherlands. I'm assuming you guys have done your reviews. What lessons have you guys learned from that game?
Yeah, we still got the review to do later today. But just, it's just about staying in the moment. When we have teams at 110 for 6, is try to be a bit more clinical in the way we go about things. And obviously, from a batting point of view, when we are in a position where we go 2 or 3 down quickly, about just, refocusing, restructuring and realigning everything and, taking it from there. I think we've done some really amazing work thus far. And it's just about building on those positives going forward.
sure you
supplement.
guys know this, but you guys will be playing during the day and then late in the evening, South African time, the Springboks will be playing against the same team, England. Any message for the Springboks for?
Nathan, we just lost you at the end there, but just.
I'm assuming he said any message. Yeah, just to wish the Springbok boys all the best. You guys have made us proud so far, and we're backing you all the way. And we hopefully will return the favor also with our result. But a beautiful sporting day for South African supporters.
Not hopefully, Kesh. Let's go in there, murder
Thanks,
those
Nathan.
that
And
team,
we're
man.
going to
Come
go
on, let's
to
do
then tennis.
it, man. We can beat England.
Hi.
Just be focused.
I'm assuming, there was obviously a lot of disappointment after what took place Tuesday. But generally, what is the mood like in the camp? Are you able to shake off that disappointment very quickly, and are guys keen to get stuck into the next match?
Yeah, I think if you looked at it after the game, the boys were hurting, but it's part and parcel of being a professional sportsman. But I think we woke up the next day and the guys are rejuvenated and ready to go again. Obviously, it's a massive game for us against England on Saturday. So yeah, the boys are ready to hit the ground running and just basically take off from where we left off against the Australian team the other night. So yeah, the boys are excited, ready to go. Got some good night's rest after a long travel day. And hopefully start fine-tuning towards Saturday.
Thanks, Stu. Tennis, then Hines.
As it Keshav, sounds like bench Stokes will be playing just from your side and the bowlers. How does that even change things, or not necessarily change things from your approach, but just maybe something on what bench Stokes can bring to the table for England and what threat he poses?
Yeah, I didn't even know about that, but thanks for giving us the heads up. Yeah, look, we know he's a big match player and he's got a great repertoire of skills behind him, and we know what he brings to the party. But it's just about us sticking through our processes and things like that, and making sure that we're executing on the day. And I'm sure our bowlers will be ready and up for the challenge.
Thanks, Tennis. Hines. And then if anybody would like a follow-up question, please do indicate by raising your hand.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Kesh. Hope you're well. Kesh, Lungi joked that Delhi was a graveyard for the bowlers, but Wankedi is not far away from that type of reputation. But do you think it actually helped that you guys did your opening game there and actually have the experience of having to adapt to what is traditionally a very good batting surface going into this double-header actually in Mumbai?
Yeah, I think it's great preparation. I haven't played at Wankhede before, so I'm just going on what the knowledge that I've been given from the other players that have. But I think it's good that we exposed to various venues, and hopefully it helps our skill sets going forward to adapt to various conditions. I think if you looked at the series we played prior to coming to the World Cup in Bloemfontein, we played on the second ODI. It was quite a flat wicket, so I think it's a good test of skill for the guys and to be able to sort of adapt to the situations that we'll be faced with in Wankhede Stadium.
Great. Then we're going to go on Gama, then Stu.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Keshav. So this is not the first time that the team has responded how it responded during the game against the Netherlands. Under pressure. How different are you guys handling it now as compared to how you guys handled it in Australia last year? In terms of reviewing the game and just the conversations that you guys have about that game, about how you guys responded, about how you guys respond to pressure. How different have you guys handled it? Obviously you did say that you guys are gonna review it later on today, but post the game itself, like what sort of different sort of handling did you guys do this time around, just to make sure that it doesn't happen and that you guys learn from it? Thanks, Lucy.
Yeah, I think everyone had the opportunity individually to review and reassess, and obviously when we do have our team review today, we'll realign that with the team and see how we can get better as a unit. Like I said, it did hurt a lot after the game, but the last time we did lose to Netherlands, it did knock us out of World Cup, but this presents us with another opportunity to try and rectify that and get back to hopefully winning ways come this weekend.
It's very diplomatic answers here.
Then we're going to Tennis and then look to wrap with Heinz and Zahir.
Thanks, Liz. Kesh, are you able, and I know you still got to unpack what took place Tuesday, as you said, but the vast differences in the quality of performance there, because you have the really top quality performance against a clean performance largely against Australia, to that performance on Tuesday.
To that.
Massive gap between the two. I mean, are the guys able to explain that? Why is there seem to be no kind of, I guess, your bad performances not be really bad?
Yeah, I think, look, we have won, 5 ODIs on the trot considering the Australia series building up to the World Cup. So, like any sport, you're bound to have a bad game, and I'd like to think and hope that this was that one bad game out the way. It's very hard to actually put a finger on it because everyone was up for the challenge on the day. But yeah, it's just about dusting ourselves off, getting up, and showing the true Proteas spirit that we have within us. And when our backs are against the wall, is hopefully come back from that.
So technically speaking, yes, they you played a whole lot of ODIs, you won a whole lot of ODIs, you're bound to have a bad game at some point. And he's correct to say it. At least it was at the beginning of the tournament. But if that's the case, then you would like to think that they go on and bounce back. So that puts a lot of pressure on them to bounce back now.
Thanks, Stu. Tennis?
Keshav, I'm just a bit interested now.
Because, sorry to pause it there, guys, but a win against the Netherlands means that if they lost to England, then there wouldn't be much pressure on them to actually win a game. That's the problem with the defeat. Whereas now, all eyes are going to be on South Africa to try and win that game. Can they handle that pressure? Can they do it? That's what we need to believe that they can do. And knowing Heinrich Klaassen, David Miller, Aiden Markram, Temba Bavuma, Quentin de Kock, Rassie van der Dussen, that top six, for example, knowing the type of characters they are, knowing the type of character KG is actually, knowing the type of characters we have in this dressing room, Lungingiri, Marco Janssen. Marco Janssen has an exceptionally strong mentality for such a young boy. So knowing how Keshav Maharaj himself too, very strong personality. Tabray Shams, he likes a challenge. That's a question that I want to ask on a preview when we do our preview before the game. So when we do the preview tomorrow. So Lawrence, thank you. I've seen Man United lose 7-0 and win their next game. That's a positive quality. Yes. I saw you guys lose 8-2 and also come back with a win afterwards. So that's something that yeah, that's something that I think is true. But I mean, it would have made things a lot easier. But unfortunately, that is professional sport. You don't know when these losses are going to come. I don't think any sportsman walks on the field wanting to lose. And sometimes fans hold teams accountable, almost like we think they wanted to lose a game.
How does the review work? Do you guys actually or do the coaches watch the entire game back one time and then sort of get out some snippets of some video clips and show you guys? And how long does it
Good
take?
question.
And just I'm a bit interested to hear how does that all work?
Yeah, I think obviously the coaches watch quite closely during the game, so they pick up pointers on areas that we can get better. And as a collective, they come together and highlight those certain points and areas where sort of lost our way a bit, and plot the points forward and what we can do better going forward. Look, it's hard to put a number out in terms of the duration of the meeting, but I think it's just about getting the message across to the guys. And as a unit, we buy into how we're going to get better going forward into the other areas of our games for the various matches ahead.
Heinz, and then one last one with Zahir.
Kesh, just back to the England lineup, which it seems is going to be bolstered by Ben Stokes and stuff. I mean, England bat very deep, and while it probably doesn't mean that you guys fundamentally change anything, does it sort of require of you guys to really keep your intensity and focus? Because even might not necessarily, might lull some teams into complacency and stuff. So the fact that England bat so deeply, does that just basically necessitate that you guys really, really keep the pressure on throughout?
Yeah, definitely. So I think they're quite a well-balanced team, and like you said, they do bat deep. So from a bowling unit perspective, I think it's just making sure that we have our plans for everyone, our plan A, B, and C, and making sure that we execute on the day. But like you said, keeping that intensity throughout the 50 overs and throughout the batting lineup is probably one of the key aspects that we can focus on.
And then just one last one from Zahir.
Kesh, it's often said that you guys have the ability to beat anybody on the day, but you've also shown now that you have the ability to lose to anybody on the day. Does that affect your psyche as a cricketer when you lose to a team
Well done, Zahir.
and players that are not that weren't able to play the best of cricket in South Africa? Does that just, as an individual, as a professional, does that affect your psyche?
Not really. I think you've got the strongest 10 teams in the world playing in this event, and you can't really deem a team a lower team, But yeah, it does hurt a little bit. I think any loss in the World Cup does hurt significantly, but I think that's what we're professional athletes for. It's to dust yourself off and realize that the next day the sun's going to come up, and we've got to stick to our processes and disciplines and be true to our team culture and make sure we turn the ship around from one loss and hopefully get back to winning ways.
Okay, that was a good question. Kesh knows how to stay calm and answer these questions. He doesn't get triggered at all. So yeah, diplomatic responses, which we can expect. I'm interested to see who's going to be in the pre-match press conference tomorrow, and then we can really get stuck into that on the preview tomorrow when we do that. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thank you for being so informative in the live chat and giving your opinions. I enjoyed every single one of them, even the ones that I don't necessarily fully agree with. Keep them coming. I learned from you guys a lot as well in what you guys have to say in the live chat too. So please keep those comments coming and telling me letting me see different viewpoints to my own. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Don't forget to also support us by downloading the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Become a patron and show your support by becoming a patron today. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Smash the like button, comment and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with a preview show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out, everyone.